They thought they could steal 2,000 acres of my family's ranch through some crooked HOA land grab. Turns out, I ended up foreclosing on every last one of their shiny McMansions. I'm standing here now on what used to be my front porch, clutching a stack of foreclosure notices for a dozen houses in that fancy subdivision next door. The wind's whistling through what's left of the old fence posts, carrying the sharp stink of diesel from the machines that wiped out my grandfather's oak trees and everything else. 6 months ago, I had the biggest cattle spread in 3 counties. Now, hell, I own their mortgage companies. But here's what Karen Blackwell, the queen bee of the HOA, never saw coming. What would you do if someone snatched your great-grandpa's homestead, then poisoned your well just to cover their tracks? Because right now, Karen's holed up in a studio apartment above the town's only sandwich shop, probably wondering how a plain old cowboy turned her million-dollar empire into a federal crime scene. And you listening to this, I want you to think about it. What would you do? Where are you watching from? Because this is one of those stories where sometimes the little guy actually wins if you know how the system really works. So stick with me. I'm about to show you exactly how to flip the script when the folks in charge cross the line. My name's Jake Morrison, 3rd generation, born and raised, right here in Clearwater County, Montana. My granddad bought this land in '52 with GI Bill money, 2,000 acres of hills and creek, the kind of ground you feel deep in your bones. For 34 years, every morning, I started my day with coffee on the porch, listening to the meadowlarks, cattle lowing out in the mist, real peace. The kind you don't buy in any city. Wasn't always easy, though. The ranch had its struggles. My divorce 2 years back sure didn't help. My little girl Emma's only here every other weekend now. But we were getting by, raising organic beef, keeping a handful of loyal customers who liked knowing exactly where their food came from. Then Karen Blackwell showed up next door. Imagine this, blonde bob, always decked out in designer workout gear, driving a spotless white BMW even though she's out in cow country. She and her husband Brad, some tech exec from Phoenix, decided rural Montana was their new playground. First time we met, she marched up uninvited, tapping her manicured nails on my old fence post while I was elbow deep in feed. Those feeding stations are an eyesore, she snapped. Not even a hello. They're lowering our property values. I told her politely, my ranch was here 70 years before her neighborhood was even a thought. Offered to plant trees if it bothered her that much. You know what she said? Trees take too long. Move your operation somewhere less visible. 3 months in Montana and already telling me how to run my place. That was just the start. Next came official HOA letters. Noise complaints about roosters at dawn, county reports about unpleasant odors, even legal threats from some city lawyer about agricultural nuisance. Every solution I offered, shut down. Move the roosters? Nope. Suddenly, I'm standing in my barn, reading a cease and desist while Karen's perfume clashes with the honest smell of hay and leather, realizing this isn't about noise. This is about Karen wanting my land. She was ready to burn it all down to get it. The real wake-up call hit one crisp October morning. Found a pack of surveyors wandering my property. They flashed papers saying the HOA actually owned a 47-acre strip along our border. Karen's there too, waving some shady 1978 survey showing different property lines. Oh, and my granddad's deed? Gone from the county records. Sometimes paperwork gets misplaced, she says, with a smile that made my skin crawl. Right then, I knew I wasn't just dealing with a bad neighbor. I was up against a predator. Within a week, the HOA filed an adverse possession claim. Said they'd been maintaining trails on my land for 2 years. Turns out they'd been sneaking in, building benches and trails when I was off in town. Here's a legal tidbit. In Montana, 5 years of open, notorious use can flip land ownership. But their improvements were all done in secret. Still, judge handed them a restraining order. I couldn't touch my own land. But Karen got too clever. Digging into her claims, I discovered her husband owned the survey company behind that convenient 1978 map. Spent more nights than I'd like, hunched over old records, coffee growing cold. Found a licensing board citation. Yep, the same company nailed for fraudulent boundary surveys in Arizona. There's your first lesson. If they can't steal your land with force, they'll try paperwork. Meanwhile, the local paper runs a puff piece on Karen's community stewardship. Pictures of her and neighbors posing on their hiking trails. I start getting anonymous threats, notes on my windshield, sell out, or we'll make your life hell. The hardware store suddenly cuts off my credit. Vet doubles haar fees. Funny how neighbors turn when there's big money on the line. Didn't mean I was totally alone. Mabel at the county clerk's office, old-timer, sharp as a tack. She whispers, "That woman's been digging for your deed." Sifting through dusty boxes, I find pattern. 3 other landowners near Clearwater Meadows sold out after legal pressure. The real bombshell? Karen requested a copy of our deeds 6 months before the land grab. This was planned, premeditated. Scraped together my last savings, hired an attorney up in Helena. She found the original 1952 deed, clear as daylight, proving every acre was ours. Filed to dismiss Karen's claim, asked for legal fees. Karen lost it. Showed up with the sheriff, claimed I threatened her. Sheriff Thompson, old family friend, just grinned and said, "Last I checked, talking about property lines isn't a crime." Karen stormed off, but she was just getting started. Next, the HOA votes to slap every member with a $5,000 legal defense assessment. 43 families, over 200 grand, all to destroy one stubborn rancher. But she wasn't content to just bleed me dry in court. Suddenly, rumors spread. My cattle are diseased. State agriculture comes knocking. My daughter starts asking why I look so worried. The cattle are fine, but the investigation cost me time and money I didn't have. Then the sabotage started. Fences cut at night, cattle wandering into neighbors' yards. Trail cams caught HOA folks sneaking onto my land, ATVs roaring, wires snipped. Karen files county complaints about dangerous livestock. Sheriff Thompson, hands tied, has to issue me $500 fines over and over. Here's a second tip. In most states, property damage over $1,500 becomes a felony. While documenting this circus, I find Brad's flying drones over my property. No commercial license. Filed an FAA complaint. Drone flights stop cold. But then the bank president, also a Clearwater Meadows resident, surprise, calls my loan. Feed supplier wants cash up front. Insurance gets canceled on dangerous conditions grounds, thanks to anonymous complaints. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, counting pennies for feed, watching my daughter's college fund disappear. That's when Emma asks why we can't go for ice cream anymore. 8 years old, and she's watching her dad's world fall apart. But Karen slipped up. She was too successful. Digging through her background for a potential civil rights case, I found newspaper archives from Phoenix. Same MO, different victims. Harassment, lawsuits, rumors, then a rock-bottom buyout. Here's a third lesson. Pattern harassment is a federal civil rights violation. That discovery blew the case open. My lawyer filed federal harassment charges. Local media started calling it David versus Goliath. Karen's next move? Pure evil. Someone poisoned my stock tank. 3 dead cattle, $8,000 in vet bills, and the message was clear. We weren't talking neighbor disputes anymore. This was war. Karen then resurrects an obscure 1962 county law requiring all ranches to carry $2 million in liability insurance. Of course, mine's just been canceled. Sheriff Thompson shows up at dawn with a cease and desist. Remove all cattle in 72 hours or lose them to county seizure. I'm on the porch explaining to Emma why we might lose everything, as meadowlarks keep singing like nothing's wrong. I felt like David facing Goliath, but with a busted slingshot. Karen offers to help, wants to buy the ranch for 40 cents on the dollar. I swear, the audacity. The local paper runs editorials supporting the HOA. Council meetings turn into witch hunts. Friends look right through me in the street. Only Mabel sticks by, whispering, "Keep digging." Turns out that 1962 law was designed to target Native American ranches, ruled unconstitutional in '78, but never taken off the books. A civil rights attorney from Billings takes my case pro bono. And then jackpot. I find out the Clearwater Meadows HOA never filed real incorporation papers. Karen was collecting dues and issuing fines without a shred of legal standing. Over $340,000 in HOA money, all in Karen's personal accounts. Operating a fake HOA is federal wire fraud. That's prison time. Around then, my well water tests positive for industrial chemicals, runoff from their construction. EPA violations, big ones. Karen tries to buy my silence. $500,000, sign an NDA, and disappear. I act interested, but my attorney tapes the whole thing. She was confessing on the record. Finally, folks started helping. The Cattlemen's Association ponied up legal defense. Emma's teacher ran a barbecue fundraiser, filled the ranch with real support for the first time in months. Brad made a final desperate move, offered $2 million, no NDA needed. He threatened me, not knowing I was wearing a wire. That recording became evidence, witness intimidation. Next morning, my house windows shot out, dead coyote on the porch. Emma goes to Grandma's. I keep a shotgun by the door. But Mabel calls, scared but brave, has me meet her at the clerk's office at dawn. She'd found the original HOA papers, never filed. Signatures were blank. Karen had total control, and most folks never knew. A forensic accountant traced the $340,000, just $50,000 on real improvements. The rest? Funneled to Brad's company. That's felony embezzlement, folks. Even the insurance claims Karen filed. All staged, all handled by an old college friend. Fake damages. HOA members caught on camera, creating accidents. The corruption was even worse. County commissioner? $25,000 consulting fee from Brad. Judge who ruled against me? Owned shares in Brad's company. Knowledge nugget. Public corruption equals RICO charges. But the real nuke? EPA test showed construction waste had contaminated drinking water for the whole township. Karen had hidden the environmental report. Cleanup would cost $2 million. This wasn't just dirty politics. It was criminal all the way to the bone. That's when I realized Karen's whole empire was built on quicksand, fraud, bribes, pollution. But she still had money and lawyers and local power. I needed a way to blow it all up in public, where nobody could hush it up. Cue the county fair. Every year, there's a public forum, broadcast on TV and radio, packed house. Nobody controls the mic. Karen would never expect a cowboy to expose her whole criminal ring right there. So I built my team, civil rights attorney, environmental lawyer, ex-FBI investigator, forensic accountant. We hit them from every side, federal, state, environmental, civil rights, RICO. We prepped for weeks, dry runs, backup plans in case Karen tried to shut it down. Karen caught wind, sent Brad to break into my attorney's office. Police called it inconclusive. Her supporters spammed Facebook, posted threats, tried to cancel the fair. She even tried to have me declared mentally incompetent, doctored social posts, fake witnesses. My ex-wife filed for custody, attorney's bills paid off by Karen's shell company. They were coming after everything, my land, my family, my name. But the fair came anyway. The night before, my windows got shot out again. I didn't sleep a wink, but I wasn't backing down. Carnival smells, crowd buzzing, security everywhere. Karen played the victim, crying, waving fake medical records, blaming me for everything. I just waited my turn. When it came, I walked to that podium and said, "I'm going to show you documents. You decide what they mean." Showed the original deed. Karen's forged survey, the illegal money transfers. The crowd flipped from sympathy for her to open fury. EPA photos of dead cattle, poison wells. Brad caught dumping waste on video. Testimony from other victims. Emails proving bribes, wire transfers, county officials caught red-handed. My last slide. What happens when you steal, pollute, and bribe your way through life? My answer: you lose everything. And everyone here knows you're crooks. Federal agents stepped up, arrested Karen, Brad, the county commissioner, even the sheriff. Charges read out for wire fraud, embezzlement, environmental crimes, bribery, RICO. Whole crowd erupted. 5 minutes of standing ovation. My ranch was safe. Emma came home. Community started healing. Karen and Brad got 15 years in federal prison. HOA members got their money back. The land was cleaned up, and for the first time in a long time, people here started trusting each other again. We planted new oak trees where the old ones stood. Started a foundation to help other families fight back against land grabs. Emma's laughter came back to the ranch, mixing with the lowing of healthy cattle, and the grass grew green where poisoned dirt used to be. Here's what I learned. Sometimes the good folks stay quiet because fighting feels hopeless. But when you stand up, when you document everything, when you lean on truth and stubbornness, justice wins. Even if it takes every ounce of fight you've got. So here's my question for you. What would you do if someone tried to steal your family's home? Ever tangled with a crooked HOA? Or had a neighbor cross the line? Share your story in the comments. Sunlight's the best disinfectant. Don't let bullies win by staying silent. And, well, my daughter asked me just the other night, "Daddy, are the bad people really gone?" I told her, "Yes, sweetheart. And now we make sure they never hurt another family again." That's a promise I intend to keep.